What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here at Neighborhood Loans. And we are back with another episode of Cafecito Talks. We're super excited to announce our guest. But before anything, you already know you got a Cafecito on deck. We're super excited though, man. And Milton, I want to introduce an amazing social media influencer. He's absolutely amazing at what he does. I stumbled across his page on my For You page, and then I was like, I came on following, and I was like, all right, let's see if he wants to go on the show. And he's here right now. Very well spoken man. And Milton, I think everybody kind of wants to get a little background. Who is Milton, and how did you become the man that you are today?
Who is Milton? Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast, man. It's we were talking a little bit prior to actually starting the podcast on your aspirations behind it and why you were doing this, and I can definitely see a very bright future ahead of you, man. And I'm excited for you and what you have going on, especially when it comes down to leaving a legacy for your future family. It's very big, and you're definitely thinking heavily outside of the box, which a lot of people our age nowadays and people in their 20s, 30s are still very limited on the way they think. So kudos to you on that, man.
Thank you, bro.
Well, as you said, man, my name is Milton Alvarez. I represent SMB Performance. My job is to build human beings. I build people. I help entrepreneurs reach peak performance, and I help them live a high-performing life with day-to-day routines and actions through fitness, nutrition, processing conversations, helping them scale their business through what I do, making sure that their energy is always at a prime. Because if you can look good, you can work out 7 days a week, man, but if internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're not doing well, man, it's going to be a really rough life for you. And the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. And if you are able to take control of your physiological health, one of the few things that we have control over, and you have the discipline to be able to change the way you look, you're going to be able to have the same amount of energy and power to change the way your business runs, the way your family dynamic runs. And if you are a person of influence running a business that you lead people, you're going to be able to have the same influence on them, and then you'll be able to duplicate yourself. So those are the things that I help my clients, entrepreneurs, and pro athletes on, teaching them principles and systems so they can implement it into their people. So that way their people can also be, implement that into their own personal business. So it's a consistent duplication amongst the people they lead.
I mean, that's interesting, man. That you're like I said, you're very well spoken, and to be able to be on a platform with you is an honor. But I think everyone kind of wants to know, how did you get to the point where you are at right now?
So, it all started. It started at a gym, man. I started working at a gym in 2010. Back then, when Valley Total Fitness was still around in 2010, LA Fitness took over and transitioned into that. So I was a typical trainer, going to gym, just trying to make some money, training people for free sometimes. Did that for a couple of years. Financially, wasn't smart. Didn't make any money. I got burnt out. I had bills to pay. Got student loans to pay during that time, and it was definitely a rough time for me. So from there, I transitioned into law enforcement. I worked for a local police department for a couple of years. A lot of politics during that time, and because of the politics, I needed to pull away, and I ran into some issues in that department. So I withdrew from that, and I started working at a local UFC gym in Lombard under Dr. Fahmy and Kareem Fahmy. Great people, man. Their owners are great people. During that time, it was a great time. What ended up happening was that in 2020, everything shut down because of COVID. Everything completely shut down because of COVID. So that led me to that drove me to get furloughed. And one of my clients, great guy, Matt Spall, he's the host of Millionaire School podcast, the one we started doing a couple weeks ago, and the host of 7 Figure Squad. He's like, hey man, what are you going to do? Are you going to sink or swim? No business experience, no idea on how to run a business, how to fill out tax forms for a business. Zero experience. Just a guy who lived in Forest Park, Illinois, wanting to pay his bills and survive during COVID. Started a business, started an S corp, ran with it. He became my very first client. And social media is one of the beautiful things. We were talking about that earlier, man. Social media is a very beautiful thing if you know how to use it the right way. Hopping on YouTube and just studying a crap ton of information on how to run a business, how to start a business, how to run a successful fitness business for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks until my business started. I was able to leverage those platforms, and my business started taking off. And it started as a fitness journey. And then I started seeing how a lot of these entrepreneurs started benefiting from my services. not only on a physiological level, but more on a financial level, on a mental level, emotional level, spiritual level. So I combine a lot of the trades that I have under my belt when it comes down to clinical massage therapy, when it comes down to the fitness realm, the nutrition aspect, and also some counseling. Because for a while I was actually a pastor for a couple of years. But that's a very long story, man. Because I actually ran away from that calling, and it's still a battle that I encounter on a day-to-day basis. But we can definitely do that for a future conversation. So I combine a lot of those trades that I have and skills that I've been able to build in these last 10, 12 years, and I combine it into a business to be able to build people. It's not just giving you a six-pack. It's not just, making sure that you're eating chicken and broccoli every 4 to 5, 6 hours, whatever the case may be that a lot of these trainers nowadays do. But it's, how can we take you from point A to point B? How can we take your business from making 5 figures to 6 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 7 figures to an 8-figure business? Change your physiology, change your psychology, the way you perceive life, and change the kind of influence that you have over people. So I started creating a system for a lot of these pro athletes and entrepreneurs that I can give to them on how to follow it in order for them to be able to elevate themselves in business, gain influence over the people that they're leading in business, and also change their physiological lives, feeling better, having more energy, looking great, looking younger, eating foods that are going to give them the energy they need throughout the entire day, giving them the routines and giving them, step-by-step things on how to run their day-to-day. So that way they're in a position where they're going to scale on, they're going to be able to scale every single day that they exist.
No, and that's absolutely amazing because I feel like that's one thing that people lack, and that's discipline, right? And in order for you to even become successful, I feel like discipline has to be one of your centerpieces in life and whatever you're trying to do. And for you, it sounded like you came from zero, had literally no knowledge about anything, and grew that. So for you, how much of that and how much time did you have to put in order for you to kind of learn and experience all the things that you did in order to just start up your business?
It's I had a lot of friends during this time when I started my business, especially my Mexican friends, because my mom's Mexican, my dad's Ecuadorian. So especially in a Latino household, they're very set on work really, 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 really hard, a lot of hours, save, be a cheap ass, say escodo, and that's all.
Mhm.
That's what life is. But don't try to do more than what you should. Find job security, find a job where they have 401k, a pension, and stay there for as long as you can, then retire comfortably. And that's what I've been preached on my entire life. So now here I am in 2020 starting a business. I'm furloughed, and my friends are like, dude, no, you should just find a job. You should just find a job, and you should just stick to that, and don't look into finding a business. It's too dangerous. You're gonna lose your home. You're gonna go broke. XYZ. And when I started started looking into my business, how to run an actual business, I literally threw my whole self at this business, the concept of running a business. So during that time, I was barely getting out of an engagement I was in. I was engaged for a couple of years. It didn't work out, unfortunately, with this young lady, and we pulled away from each other. So it was a heartbreak. My father passed away like a couple of years prior to that. So it was a loss. I lost my job. So it was a lot of things going on at one time. I'm 31 years old right now, bro. 31 years old, no kids, no wife, none of that. So this was a couple of years ago. And I told myself, like if I'm going to do something big, I need to do it now. I'm not going to have time to do this when I have children with me, when I have a wife, and I'm dragging them through the dirt. If I'm going to go through the trenches, I'm going to go through the trenches by myself. So I threw my whole entire self at this thing called a business. And a lot of my friends were like, no, dude, you need balance. Find a balance. And here's the thing, man, for the people watching this, if you're trying to grow something and you're broke, you don't have time to have balance. Like if you're broke, you shouldn't be looking for balance. You need to be able to throw your entire self at this one thing until you're able to create something that's going to create cash flow into yourself, into your business, whatever you're trying to do. Balance is the last thing that you need to find. You need to be able to find that one thing that you have a niche in, and be able to toss your entire energy into it, your resources, your money, your energy, sometimes even lack of sleep, man. It's one of the things that I encountered because of this. So while I was trying to build the business, man, I spent countless hours looking into books. That's when I started picking up books. I've never been a big book guy. I hated reading books. I hated reading audios, books. YouTube was a very big thing. I started buying courses online and going through these courses and going to seminars, going to see the top fitness guys, and going to something, paying $2-3 to go see these top guys. And Tony Robbins started having virtual events because of the whole COVID thing. I started looking into that, and I started looking at people who I wanted to become when it came down to certain aspects. Spiritually, I was networking with certain people. Financially, I was getting closer to my clientele. because a lot of them are entrepreneurs. So I want to get close to them. You run with a certain group of people, man, you're going to end up like them in certain areas. They're going to rub off on you. I always tried to put myself in groups that I was always the little guy. I always wanted to be the little guy in all these groups because I wanted to learn something. So throwing myself at growing and gaining knowledge on how to run a business, 2020 was the year that redefined my entire life. And that's what took me from, as you said, from zero to where I'm at today with what I'm doing. And because by the grace of God, man, and I say this very humbly, I was making $40 to $45,000 a year when I was an employee. And my first year in business, I was able to pull in $250,000. My first year in business. I have no idea if the IRS is after me. I have no idea if I did it right. But some freaking kid that grew up in the suburbs was able to make $250,000 his first year in business, not knowing what the hell he was doing. I made a lot of mistakes. I went through the trials. I went through the lonely nights. I lost a lot of connections. I burnt a lot of bridges. I sacrificed a lot of time hanging out with the boys, going out drinking. I sacrificed a lot of that shit just so that way I can have the life that I have right now. And it's still not easy. It's still your own business. You don't show up, bro, your business doesn't run.
Right.
You don't show up, you're not producing. So now it's about finding ways to duplicate yourself so that way your business can run on its own, so like you don't have to show up. But that's a different spectrum of what I'm trying to do right now in my business.
Yeah, and I don't think that, and what I want to shine light to everybody, I don't think exactly what he's saying is what I want all the audience to see, right? You don't have to recreate the wheel. All the Tony Robbins of the world, Eric Thomas of the world, all these people created and generated some sort of influence, not through having to do something completely different than what everybody else did. It's just connected with individuals who have already done it and seen how you could put your own spin to it and how you could grow your own business to it. And, one thing that fascinates me about it is I do think that that's the key why a lot of people are not happy in their lives and why their marriages aren't happy and why their family isn't happy, because they're stuck in that day-to-day life cycle, exactly how our Latino community is. We don't take the risk, right? And we live the American dream, so that way I feel like our culture is very, I'm gonna live this life so that my kids can live a better life. So they're very complacent in the sense where they're building their foundation so that way our kids can water the tree and they can become better. But I want to break the seal to where it's like, no, you guys can do it yourselves now. And that way you can live a great life and then your kids can live a great life. Because I think when you put in the work now, you're not actually putting in the work for anything other than your future. You're buying yourself more time for your future. When I work, I'm not throwing my time away by partying. Do I party? Yes. Do I have a good time? Yes. I'm not saying I don't do it, but I limit myself to those things because I know that while everybody else is partying, everybody else is doing things, I'm setting myself up for my future. I'm working so that way I can be, when I am 30 years old, relaxed, right? I'm 23 years old, right? And I found very, very early in my career what the things I needed to do in order to be successful. Right. And I knew if I put my head down and how I could figure out and make it work, that's when I knew I was going to grow. Right. I've seen people who are 30 years old retired, right, through YouTubers, these crazy people driving in Lamborghinis doing crazy shit. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And they're not. And when you meet these individuals, that's what fascinates me is when you meet them, they're human. There's nothing different than when these influential people, I guarantee when you met the Eric Thomas or the Tim Tebow's, you're like, they're not different than what you are. And that's one thing I love to shine light on, is because when I got into this industry, there's a Chicagoland market, right, of real estate agents, lenders, and all these people. And when you see them on social media, it's the same thing. You see these like they're gods. You're like, holy shit, these people are big. They're like, I can't touch them. And the more my business grew, the more I met these people, and I'm like, they're human. There's nothing different than what they did. Maybe they have years, a little bit more experience, years of time, but there's nothing different than what they're doing than what you can do. And I wanted to influence people in that light, where stories like you making $40,000 to make $250,000, all because you took a risk and did it by yourself, right? And you put the risk and the effort on yourself, and you took the time to do it, and you did it in how many years time? How long was it? Did you take to build your business to beat it to 18 months? It takes people, what you did, 10 years to make the money that you did. And you did it in 18 months. And those are the things that I want people to see, to take that risk, to be able to do the things that you're doing. Now, I know you went through a lot of trials and tribulations during those times. Do you feel like your life would have been different prior to if you were to take those risks earlier in life?
Here's the thing, man. I'm a very big believer that everything in life sets you up for the specific reason why you're here and exist. And I do believe that there is such thing as divine timing with everything.
Mm.
I am a faith based guy. I believe in God heavily. I have issues, so I run to God, man. I don't run to the streets.
Yeah.
I don't run to the streets. I don't run to women. I don't go off and just fuck around. It was, and the reason I don't do that now is because when I was in my early 20s, and it's so crazy to say that, my early 20s. Fuck, man. I'm 31 years old, bro. But sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm still in my 20s. Then
Dude, I
I
thought
meet
you
someone.
turned 21, dude.
I fucking meet someone like you. Like, fuck, dude. I'm in my 30s now. So when I was in my early 20s, bro, I made a lot of mistakes. Man. And the thing is, a lot of my decisions were all rooted from trying to survive and fear. All my decisions were made from survival and fear. And because I was trying to survive and I was scared of what my next decision where it would lead me to, I held back a lot. And again, it comes from my parents. My parents always, and here's the crazy part, man. My mom and my dad in their countries, Ecuador and Mexico. My dad, he was a professor at a big university. He was a lawyer. He was doing really well for himself. My mom in Mexico, she was a business owner. She owned multiple restaurants. She owned like a tianguis, like a flea market, right? She owned that. So in Mexico, this lady was like a millionaire in pesos, but she was a millionaire. So both of them were like, all right, well, I'm going to come to the United States to look for a better opportunity. They both came and they met here in the United States. And my dad came here with the aspiration, like, you know what, I'm going to be a big time professor. I'm going to be a lawyer in the United States. My mom came with the aspiration, I'm going to start a business in the United States. Life didn't go the way it planned for them. So I think that a lot of that fear that they had with their own personal lives, they didn't want it to happen to me. So they instilled it within me of always finding security first. Worry about security and don't take the risk. Risks aren't going to lead you anywhere safe. Their risks aren't going to lead you to somewhere that's going to help you. Look what happened to us. We took a big risk. My dad ended up retiring at a Jewel Osco. How do you go from, and that says very respectful, I love my father, but how do you go from being a big time professor in your country and a lawyer to retiring at a Jewel Osco? My mom, how do you go from being a millionaire in pesos and running multiple businesses in Mexico to come to the United States and now working at a factory, being disabled because she had hand surgery and in 2013 and not being able to work now relying on the government? And you see that, I'm like, man, those are big risks. And from a very young age, I saw that. And one of the biggest things that I did not attain at a young age that I wish I did, and I see the importance of it now, and for everyone that's watching, regardless of what age you're in, especially if you're in the younger crowd, financial literacy is a big thing. My parents did not teach me how to make my money work for me. My parents never taught me financial literacy. My parents never taught me on what an IRA is, what a life insurance policy is, how to be your own bank, how to make money, how to create generational wealth. My parents never taught me that. And I feel if my parents, or even school, I went to this high school called Proviso West High School, and in a lot of those high schools, man, they financial literacy is not a big thing for them. As long as you learn the basic biology, chemistry, forensic science, and these basic English classes and go to gym, that's all they care about. They don't teach you on how to do life. That's why you see a lot of these issues going on right now in politics. There's a lot of people fighting for actual livelihood type of approach to academics that they want. How to manage your life, how to run a business, how to create a business, how to start an S corp LLC, how to manage your money, how to grow your money, how to do your own taxes, how to write a check. Those are skills that when you get out of high school and you get thrown you get thrown out on the street and you have to do life on your own. You don't know how to fucking do it, and especially when it comes down to the financial aspect. So a lot of my decision making was based off of, I don't have money. I'm scared that I'm going to lose money. I'm scared that I'm going to end up homeless, which I actually did for like about a year. It comes out of fear and survival, but all of that's rooted from the ignorance of not knowing on the psychology of money. And I'm not in this world right now trying to chase the money. I believe that our purpose in life is to be able to chase a purposeful life. When you chase purpose, the money will come. When you chase money, you're going to lose complete purpose. That's why for a lot of women, they can tell when a man is very money hungry, very money driven, or when a man's purpose driven. And when a man's purpose driven, you're going to attract the right people into your life, because those are the people who are visionaries as well. And they want those kind of people in their lives. But if all you're doing is, if you're an opportunist, all you're looking for is an open door for you, and you become very egotistical and you just want to stack up money, that also is, you can feel that. And then you start attracting people that are like-minded like you are. And now your circle starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the doors of opportunity also start closing up on you. But man, financial literacy is one of the biggest things on why I was not able to make these decisions early on. But if I was able to, if I got exposed to the financial literacy that I should have been exposed to, if I got exposed to the things that I got exposed to now, I think I could have started this at a very younger age. Also, back then, social media wasn't a very big thing.
Yeah.
Keep saying back then, like it was like 30, 40 years ago. But like YouTube, I mean, it was active, but people didn't utilize it for business,
Right.
to leverage their business. They use it for dumb shit. You know, Vine and all these other apps that were around back then, it was just to entertain people. And that's all I utilized it for. But if you knew, like, hey, yo, there's a Gary Vee out there that, you know, he's doing this, and this is what you should do with these platforms, or there's XYZ person, you know, creating this content that's going to add value to you and is going to teach you how to create a business. And business isn't boring, Milton. Business is XYZ, and this is the benefit of business. And this is what you can do. Find a skill, find a trade that you're very good at, that you love doing, create that, monetize it, create it into a business, you monetize it, and then you grow from there. I was never exposed to that. I was just exposed to go to work, 9 to 5, get out of work, come home, eat, shit, shower, sleep, wake up the next day, do the same exact thing, and then retire at 65.
Let it ride, you know? And I 100% agree. What I find interesting too, though, is how easy it was for you to put your head down and look it up on YouTube and figure it out yourself. Because the one thing that I learned was when I was in college, I think I was prior to college, I was a buck 40, buck 50 pounds, right? And I'm like, I got to college, I played baseball in college. And when I got there, I quickly realized, damn, I'm small as fuck. Like, there's people 200 pounds, 6'5", like, and I'm 140, 5'10", and I'm like, shit, bro, like, I need to go to the gym. But again, it's the self-motivation, the self-drive, the self-discipline, going on YouTube. Okay, what are the routines can I do? What are the things that I could do? What splits can I do in order for me to gain mass, right? And all it took was put my head down. Next 4 years, put my head down. I lifted for the last 4 years, and I haven't stopped since, right? And I apply that concept to every single avenue of life, right? The same concept of financial literacy. I had no idea. Once I started in real estate, the money started coming in, but through positive energy, just kind of being that influence of people and trying to be that person where you see a young individual that's getting into this business. It's not pushing them away, because this is a very competitive business, right? But what I found was exactly what you said. When you're chasing purpose and when you're chasing to try and enlighten people around you, the money flow. The money will always come by, right? There's enough food on the table for everybody. But there was so many individuals that I found in this business that was very saturated. Like, people are just, they're money hungry. And I couldn't stand that. I met enough people for me to realize my purpose was to try and influence as many people as I possibly could. So when I got into this business, I knew what I didn't want to do, right? Even when I was making $16 an hour when I first started in this business. But my main motive was to meet as many people as I can and learn off their certain individuals and their mistakes and their trials and tribulations, and build my life based off other people's mistakes. Someone told me they went left and they fell in a hole, I went right. That was the things that allowed me to tailor my business, right? So when I first got into it, though, there was a lot of individuals that were chasing the money. They were very money hungry, and it's different. Obviously, when you're a business owner, it's straight up, you don't get a check, it is what it is. But again, when you're being that center of influence, people are going to gravitate towards you, because you're not chasing the money. You're actually genuinely trying to help people. And if you come to do business with me, I'm happy to pick your shit, because I want you to do business with me. But if you don't, I want you to grow, and I want you to succeed overall through anything in life, So when I got into the whole financial aspect of things, I started seeing money coming in. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I get a check. I'm like, okay, cool. I just put it in my checking account and let it sit. 401k, let it sit. Whatever happened. And it wasn't until I think about 7 months ago, for me personally, that I actually started not speaking about it, but actually doing it. Because you'll be surprised how many individuals are in the business, or maybe be a financial advisor, and preach the things that they preach and don't actually do it. Like, I'm in a finance realm, okay, because I'm a mortgage lender, and I'm telling people, oh, you got to do high yield savings, this, boom, da, da, da. And I'm like spitting facts, dude. I'm like, man, I should be a financial advisor, bro. I'm like spitting stuff fact. Then I look at my own situation. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm preaching to all these people, and I'm not doing it myself, right? So it took time for me to do exactly what you did. Put your head down. How can I feel? What are the best high yield savings? Okay, if I moved X amount, I'll actually get money for moving my money into this account. Kind of looking at different ways to invest my money, buying a building, finding ways to put your money to allow it to work for you, right? So it took me a lot of time for me to understand and realize that. But I think the key aspect that I love touching base on is just discipline, putting your head down. And, I strongly encourage, regardless if you are a business owner or not, to connect with people. That's the only thing that I can encourage you to do, because through connections and through people's life experiences, you will be able to develop the things that you want to be able to do. And you can, almost like a painting, you could paint the picture that you want to paint through other people's experiences. Because the more people, if you see a bunch of 40-year-olds and you talk to 140-year-olds and all of them are saying, hey, in my early 20s, if I would have done this, this, and this, I would have been a lot more successful in life. Then what should that tell you if you're in your early 20s? Put your head down and work. Allow this time to be so that when you're 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, so you could put your feet up and you could chill. You could be, and I don't think you should stop working. I think the need to work should stop. You don't have to work, but you choose to work because you love what you do. That's the difference between people who are retired at a certain age. Like they can work, they don't choose to work, but those are the things that I would tell to a young individual is like, meet with people, hear other people's experiences, and through that, you can grow yourself. You can grow your own business. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be automatically be successful, but if you take the risk at a younger age, that's going to be more highly likely that you're going to succeed in the back end of your lifetime. But I want to kind of segue into just happiness overall. What do you see? And you've been a life coach, right? What is your number one tip to people when you bring up happiness? Right, because I think it's a lot of different avenues of being happy, and a lot of it's very subjective, right? It doesn't matter. Every individual is going to have a different level of happiness and how they see it. So when you tell them, is that the first question you ask? Like, what's your ideal situation, and what do you envision happiness be?
One of the things that I'd first be curious about is their identity. I think a lot of who we are as human beings falls on identity. How do you perceive yourself? How are you conditioned as a person? What were you exposed to at a very young age? Do you have any traumas? Because the way you're conditioned as a child, that's where the 6 human needs come in, and that's where your love language comes in. You look at a lot of these women nowadays. There are a lot of these men called gold diggers. If let's just say that she had both parents growing up, and the dad was a successful business guy, or maybe not even successful, just very busy working 2-3 jobs just to support the family, or maybe he was successful, whatever the case may be. He was there, but he wasn't there. He was emotionally absent. The mom, always also busy working her job. So both parents working consistently because they're trying to support the family, or whatever the case may be. Both parents present, but they're not emotionally present. So they try to balance that out with, hey, we love you. We're not always there. But here, we bought you a dollhouse. Or here, we bought you this. Oh, look, you're 16, 17 years old. Here, we got you a car. So from a very young age, you start conditioning a child to accept gifts for love from a very young age. So now this child's conditioned with one of the love languages being gifts. There's 5 love languages. Gifts, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, and acts of service. If this child has been conditioned since she was a little girl that just because her parents are absent, she gets gifts all the time, she grows into this woman who now she interprets love as, oh, if he claims to love me, he needs to buy me something. He needs to give me something, a gift. And it could be at any scale. It could be big. It could be luxurious. It could be a financial burden for a lot of people, or it could be even the smallest thing. But a lot of these men and women who are after, gifts and like, oh, you show me that you love me when you buy me things, and people interpret that like, no, you're a fucking gold digger. That's fuck you. And in reality, it's like, no, like this is the way she's conditioned, or they're conditioned. And a lot of people don't find happiness because they don't have one of their main love languages not being met. And love language isn't just relational when it comes down to man and wife, spouse and girlfriend, boyfriend, and parents. It's amongst everybody. If you learn what the 5 love languages are, and you learn people's love languages by asking or just by observing, you're going to get so much further in business, and your relationship is going to get so much better on any realm. And now if you learn the 6 human needs that we have as human beings, certainty, uncertainty being one of them, connection, love, contributions being one of them, and there's like two other ones I can't think from the top of my head. When you learn what your need is as a human being, because we all have them, and these 6 human needs are the reason why we do what we do. There's multiple excuses on why people say they do what they do and how they act, how the way they react, why they do life the way they do. But the 6 actual reasons are the 6 human needs. And when you find out what your human need is and what it is and how you tap into it, you're going to live a life of fulfillment. And now when it comes down to, you said, there's a guy who has a shit ton of money, but he's not happy. How do I find happiness? I'm a very big believer that there's a difference between your life's work and a job. If you have a relationship with God, you believe in a higher power. I don't want to, push my beliefs on you. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God, but I don't want to push my beliefs on people and on you. But if you have a relationship with something bigger than yourself, knowing and acknowledging like, there's no way in freaking hell that we were born on this physical earth in the middle of a random ass galaxy amongst all these damn planets and stars in the midst of a random ass universe just to coexist, go through a social system, pick a political party, pick a religion, go to school, get your heart broken multiple times by guys or girls, get cheated on, sorry for this reference, but get raw dogged by life because of all the shit you go through, get a job, go to a job, deal with people, work 9 to 5, get a paycheck, come home, marry someone because either you fell in love or because you were forced because you had a kid with them, or because now you're like, fuck, I'm getting too old and I need to settle. So I'm gonna just marry so-and-so, I'm gonna marry him. Women, you have a biological clock. I need to find someone. So now you end up settling. Men, you're fucking lonely. You're dealing with issues that you haven't dealt in a very, very long time. So now you end up looking for a refuge in a woman. So now you guys fucking settle. So now you have two half-assed people settling. You live a mediocre ass life. You retire at 65. You teach your kids nothing, or you do the opposite. You teach them something. You retire, then you die, and your kids repeat the same cycle. There's no way in freaking hell that we're just born just to do life the way we're told to do life. All this shit's material, bro. Our finance material, chasing the money, chasing the legacy, chasing all this bullshit. That's all here. If the world were to come to an end today, the fuck's the purpose of all this? There's zero fucking purpose to any of this. When you die, people are chasing, I want to leave a legacy. Okay. 3 generations after you die, they're going to forget who the fuck you are completely. 3 generations after you die, you're going to be completely forgotten. Completely fucking forgotten. Fine, you'll have a name on the building or XYZ, but the people who you actually care about, completely forgotten. Completely fucking forgotten. So what does that mean? When you have a relationship with God, you acknowledge that there's a reason why you exist and you have a life's work. And when you start pursuing life's work, you no longer feel like you're actually they're just doing life versus going to a job every day. Whatever the fuck you do. You can be making $1 million an hour, bro. But it's still a fucking job. Yeah, sure, you get the luxury and all that, but that's why you see so many millionaires unfulfilled. You see a lot of these millionaire kids who are literally getting all this money from their parents' death, and they're getting all these fucking luxuries, and they're fucking committing suicide. They're taking all these drugs because they hate their fucking lives. There's no fulfillment in money. There's no fucking fulfillment. It solves an issue, contributes to a greater cause. But if you don't have a reason behind why you're doing and why you're making the money, you're gonna feel miserable. Life's work versus job. Life's work is why you're here. Life's work is why God put you on this earth and on to do something to create a ripple effect and make massive impact to the entire world. Not what you do, not how you look, not what you post, but what are you doing in this world that's going to leave an impact in every single person that you meet? How did you make someone feel today? The way you made someone feel today is going to leave a bigger impact than what the fuck you wore today, than how much money you made today. And that's why with what I do, the moment I started chasing my life's work and I started doing what I'm doing now, that's the day that I retired. The day I retired is the day that I started pursuing my business that I'm doing today. So in 2020, during COVID, is when I started running this business, and that's the year that I retired. Because now I'm literally doing life's work. I'm officially retired. I'm doing life's work, and I'm doing this to the very end. It's gonna come in different avenues. I'm gonna have different seasons. It's gonna be dressed differently. It's gonna be in different ways. But my life's work is having impact with people, making people feel something different, giving people a sense of reason, a sense of purpose, and giving people a sense of direction, helping people help themselves, building human beings to become better people, helping them understand that there's a reason why the fuck you exist. Life isn't just going out and trying to make some money and trying to gain status to cover up your insecurities. Life is so much more than that. And now you have someone who has a job, working anywhere, bro. I know so many of my clients, bro, they're entrepreneurs. They're making fucking fantastic money. They hate their wives. They can't stand their kids. They work so much because they just don't want to go home. Great money, fucking drive a Lamborghini. They make when I go to these when I go out of state and I go to California or New York, they're like, Milton, what do you want? What do you want to drive this weekend? Take the Lambo. That's my weekend car. I hate it because the steering wheel is literally right here. I can't fucking feel that shit. But they're miserable. Why? Because their sense of fulfillment comes from, hey, yo, Milton, I'm lonely as shit. I'm lonely. I can't find a wife. I can't find a girl. Every woman that I meet wants me because of my luxury, because of what I have. So it's not about getting the money in life, bro. Because if you just chase the material aspect of what life is, you're going to end up miserable. What's going to give you happiness is understanding who you are as a human being, knowing your identity. And that comes from your 6 human needs. That comes from understanding your love language, how you feel loved, understanding where all these little leaks that you have in your life, where it comes from. Because we all have trauma, bro. We've all been heartbroken. We've all seen crazy shit going on in our families. And even if we grow up in a functional household, there's still some type of dysfunction. And we're going to go through this journey in life where we need to be able to encounter those demons and fix that shit from the root, and not just slap a band-aid over it and cover it with money, cover it with luxury, cover it with having the most beautiful woman in the world, cover it with all this bullshit that we cover it with. We need to be able to literally look ourselves in the mirror and fix our shit. And that's a lifelong thing. That doesn't stop at your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. That's a lifelong thing. And knowing why the fuck you're here in this world is going to lead you to have a sense of happiness. I don't believe I don't believe happiness is a thing. I believe it's a state. It's a state of mind, state of emotion. You can gain happiness by doing X, Y, Z, what brings you fulfillment. But people trying to say, I'm just trying to be happy. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? I'm trying to be happy. What the fuck does that mean? What are you doing to be happy? Well, I don't know. Exactly. Figure out who the fuck you are. When you figure out your identity, when you figure out your needs, when you figure out your love language, when you figure out how you're wired, you're going to be able to put yourself in situations that are going to lead to a more of a broader mental and emotional state, which will then, in sense, will lead you to be happy in pursuit of happiness.
And in your eyes, where do you see your own pursuit of happiness?
Do what I'm doing now.
So do you feel like your life is fulfilled with overall? Do you feel as if you're happy?
No, because I'm an imperfect person, bro. I'm an imperfect person. I know there's more. I'm my biggest critic. I'm very judgmental to myself. I know that there's so much more. Here's the thing, bro. Like, if we're put on this physical earth for something bigger than ourselves, we need to understand, like, there's so much potential within us. There's so fucking much potential within us, bro. That's why that's why sometimes you get so agitated. Like, no, there could be so much fucking more I could be doing, but I'm not doing it. And you get so mad at yourself, but yet you don't do anything about it. Because you know that there's a reason why the fuck you're here. And that's what frustrates me, because I procrastinate. I'm lazy sometimes. I'm fucking lazy. I'm a human being. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna pretend to be like this, this business person running an XYZ dollar business, and I'm perfect. No, I'm fucking lazy. I have my flaws. I'm not fulfilled right now. I know that there's something bigger, and that bigger is what I've been running away from because I'm scared. I'm still scared to step into the shoes that God wants me to step into, because I know the moment I step into those shoes, life's gonna take off in a different course, and I feel like I'm not gonna be able to take the pressure. I feel like I won't be able to hold on to the steering wheel, and I'm gonna lose control of my life. And that's why you see so many people always trying to be in control. The control freaks. I want to be in control of all things. I want to be in control of my girlfriend. I want to be in control of my money. I want to be in control of this. I want to be in control of that. And now, if you're running a business where people are under you, that becomes such a toxic environment, because you want to be in control of everything, and you don't know how to delegate. You don't know how to outsource. Now that also comes with control. That comes with trust issues. And now that's why your business becomes stagnant. So I have a lot of work to do with myself. I have a lot of work to do when it comes down to fulfillment. Because right now I'm in a transition period where I know there's something more that I need to do, and not so much financially, brother. It's not financially. It's more like life's work, life's purpose. But it's one of those things where I know that the moment I say yes to the calling, my life's gonna change, and I'm scared of shit because I'm comfortable. I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm comfortable with where I'm at. I'm comfortable with the people that I'm working with, and I'm okay right now. But I know there's more.
But I think you are controlling the wheel. And I think it's interesting enough, because I think I met a good amount of individuals where we all have this similar mindsets. And if you take a look at, I'm sure if you were to meet the Bill Gates of the world, you would meet the Elon Musk of the world. If you were to meet these individuals, there's a never-ending cycle within people who have our mindsets. And that never-ending cycle is continuously growing something more, or being more of an impact on people's lives, right? Because even though you could be impacting 100 people's lives, but then in the back of your mind is like, I could be impacting 1,000, or I can impact 1,000,000 or 100,000. And there's always going to be that circle of chain, because what I've seen in my industry is like, I hit a certain goal, and then I was like, okay, I didn't think I could hit that goal that quickly, but now I hit it. So now how can I hit this goal? And you're consistently going to try and overlap the goals that you're trying to accomplish. But I think it's a never ending chase. I do think it's a healthy chase though. I think that people should have these these mindsets that always wanting to continue to do more. Because when you do chase more, obviously the better you're going to impact people's lives, and there has to be a positive impact on people's lives. But I do think the chase is a mindset. And I don't think that it's a bad thing. Like I think that you may think you're lazy yourself, but then you ask someone down the street that's doing the things that you're doing, they'll be like, oh my God, that dude's doing so much work. How can he fly to Dallas and then go fly to Chicago and then do a podcast in the morning? I can never do that. I would want to stay in my bed all day. So the way that in your perspective, and life is all about perspectives, right? You in your shoes, you feel as if you're not doing enough, but in reality, you probably are doing enough. It's just we have a very entrepreneurial mindset where it's like, what is next? And that is a very healthy relationship that you have to have. And I think that is the reason for your success and growth, right? Because if you didn't have that hungry mentality, you didn't have that thing on what can I do better, then you wouldn't be in the works that you're doing and you wouldn't be impacting people's lives. But what I find interesting in your job, man, is you're literally impacting someone's life and molding them to become happy, and I love that idea. I love that concept because I do think that there's so many things that, whether it's failed marriages, whether it is money, whether it is families breaking up, I think it doesn't matter whether all things, and I think health, money, and family. I don't think all three in life are gonna coincide for a longer than 5-year period, right? Either someone's health is gonna be in whether someone got cancer, someone has something wrong with their family, or whether your family, either you're arguing with your wife, your family's not there, or your money. One of these three things, if you have in the next 5 years and everything is going straight for the next 5 years on all three things, be ready because one of those pillars are going to be falling for a period of time, and you have to learn how to drive the driver's seat and actually move forward on those things. So if you had an individual that would come through and have one of these pillars fall, right? Whether it be your family, whether it be your job, or whether it be money, anything along those lines, what would you tell them how to get over those humps? Because you did a good job. You kind of excel through it. So
I had no choice, bro.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of these decisions that you make as a person, you're forced to make them.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally thrown into the fire. I had no choice. Like again, I'm a very big believer on how you do one thing is how you do all things. How you do one thing is how you do everything else in your life. And if the one of the few things that you have control over is your physical body and your health. That's one of the few things. We have control over a couple things, but true control is the way you look and the way you feel. Those are the two things that you have major control over that no one else has control over unless you let them have control over. So if you're able to create, and one thing you said was, you're what you're doing is you're helping people become happy. The way I see it is I'm helping people become stronger in the aspect of build an internal callus in every aspect of your life. Intentionally learn what life is trying to fucking teach you so that way you don't have to go through it again. I believe that every single thing that occurs to you in life happens for you, not to you. And because it's happening for you, it's going to stick around until you fucking learn the lesson. You're going to stay broke. And you're going to continually be running your shit through the ground until you fucking learn the financial lesson that you need to learn. You're going to keep jumping from one girl to the next girl to the next girl to the next girl until you fucking learn what the hell's wrong with you. At some point or another, it's a fucking pattern. You need to stop blaming the partner like, oh, it was her, bro. She's a fucking thotty, or she's this, or she's that, or she's toxic, or she's crazy, or whatever case may be. No, bro. Like if you ran through about 6 women in the last 2 years, you can't hold on to a relationship. You should just start looking in the mirror and realize like, oh shit, it's me. And the fact that I keep doing it, I keep hurting these women, okay, where is that leak in my life? So people see things as positive and negative. There's positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. But every single opportunity that we have in life to encounter life and what life gives us, because life is serving us at all times, bro. Life is literally serving us at all times. God uses life to serve us as far as teaching us, making us grow as human beings. You pray for strength, you're going to go through a lot of crazy shit. You pray for patience, you're going to encounter a lot of crazy ass people. You pray for love, you're going to encounter people that are hard to love, but you're going to be forced to love. Every single prayer that you've prayed for and you can ever pray for will always be answered, but not in the way that you expect to be answered. So you want to gain wisdom in certain areas, you're gonna go through the trenches in that specific realm of your life. You know, if you want to gain XYZ, you're going to have to encounter this specific lesson. And again, it won't leave you until you fucking encounter it. So with my clients, it's more of a processing thing. Okay, this pillar has fallen off. Let's just say it's health. Okay, what has changed? Because again, I set up all my clients with routines. It's a routine thing, a routine thing. If you don't have a routine, it's on a psychological level, it's really hard to sustain a sustainable life. Human beings need routine, especially if you're trying to run a business, especially if you're trying to live a healthier life. You need a fucking routine. You need something to do in the morning that's going to wake you up physiologically and psychologically, that's going to give you that burst of energy, that's going to give you natural dopamine, that's going to make you feel good. So that way the rest of your day is doing really, really well. And you need an evening routine, something to do at night that's going to de-stress you. So that way you're not stimulated. That way, when you go to bed, your brain is relaxed and you're not, when you go to bed at night, sometimes you're scrolling through your fucking phone and then you just lay in bed, you just feel your eyes are burning from the screen, or you're typing, whatever the case may be. And now you go to bed, the next day you wake up stressed out, you wake up tired, you wake up lethargic. You're like, I got 7 hours, 8 hours sleep. I don't know why the fuck I'm not rested. But there's a massive difference between rest and sleeping. Rest is what we need, but it's not what we do, because we put ourselves in environments that is not allowing our bodies to rest, like scrolling through our phones right before we go to bed, jumping online, trying to check our numbers, checking whatever Excel sheets or whatever the fuck we do with our clients, going through all that right before we go to bed. Now we go to bed expecting to be fine, when in reality, on a physiological level, your brain's fried. All these lights that you're showing, all these stimulants that you're giving your brain's fried. So now you wake up the next day after a full 8-7 hours of sleep, and some people sleep a lot less. Your brain's still working because of everything you just did. You're not putting yourself in any state or any environment that's allowing your brain to decompress and say, okay, it's time to rest. Next morning, you wake up rushed, stressed out, fucking need to do this and to do that. And it takes this client into that client. And that comes from not having a routine, not being able to outsource, because again, it's a control problem. So everything's fucking connected into all of that. So I go to my client. All right, what's the routine that we had? Well, I wake up at this time, do this, and do this. And then I go off to my business, or I go do this. Great. That's what you usually do. Yes, great. What have you been doing lately? Well, lately, 2 of my assistants quit on me. So now it's this. Now I'm running this. And now their routine got completely knocked off. And as an entrepreneur, it's really hard to have a set routine, but you need to be able to work with it. As long as you give yourself 2 different windows, morning and evening, to be able to feed yourself what your body needs mentally and physiologically, you're going to be in a good state consistently if you know what actually works for you as a person. So it's being able to process the issue, know where the leak is within that pillar that you mentioned, and what have we done before to fix it, and what can we do to reinforce the action that we need to take in order to be able to progress in trying to fix whatever issue or whatever leak that you have in the specific pillar. But it's a processing thing. There's always questions that you need to be able to ask in order to be able to process whatever issue is going on, and regardless of what pillar that there may be a leak in.
Do you feel like all 3 of your pillars are up right now?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Because here's the thing, bro. We tend to trade our health for wealth. We sacrifice our health so we can gain wealth, not knowing that eventually one day we're going to be utilizing our wealth to regain our health. That's why these entrepreneurs see so much value in fitness. They see so much value in what I do, because now it's more of like, this man's teaching me how to supplement. Because when I work with clients, bro, it's not just, hey, let's go to the gym. Let's go to the gym and let's work out. Let's eat chicken and broccoli, chicken and green beans, drink your water, go to sleep. It's not a bodybuilding experience, bro. It's more of, all right, let's do blood work in the beginning. Let's see where your hormone levels are as a man. Where are your hormones? How what are you anemic? What are you missing? All right, this is what's going on. Great. I'm going to connect you to my dietitian, to a nutritionist, and we're going to come up with a supplement list that you can benefit from. Okay, great. We're going to do these workout routines during the week. We're going to have these routines that are going to give you the energy that you need, so that way you can run your business successfully. Right. So now that's the realm that I do with my clients when it comes down to their health. That's why they see so much success in it. And me, now I'm on that side where I'm like, I'm really sacrificing my health because I'm trying to run a successful business. So now I'm the one not sleeping. So I'm the one not working out as much anymore. So now I'm on the go, and I'm like, shit, like I have nothing to eat. I need to eat something quick. Right. Yeah. Now I see myself pulling up at a Chick-fil-A drive-thru trying to order the healthiest thing on the menu. But now I'm seeing that there's a leak there. So now I'm not practicing what I preach. Now I'm feeling like shit. Right. Now I need a Milton in my life. But now that gives me the front-end experience, the frontline experience of like, so this is what they go through. Right. So now I'm going to utilize what I learned from this and apply it to them. So I think right now my health pillar is the one that I'm still trying to tweak, because it's the whole aspect of finding a balance is really hard for me.
But isn't that interesting that like the industry that we're in, you don't practice what you preach on a daily basis? Like I find that so interesting. Like you come to realize you're like, okay, I'm preaching all the things that I need to do. I understand what I need to do in order to become happier or, make my life more fulfilling. But like we're not actually doing it, right? And I feel like honestly, all the things that we and what people preach about to become more fulfilling is something that we already kind of know. Like in the back of your mind, you know what you need to do in order for your life to be more fulfilling, but we kind of suppress it, and we need somebody like a Milton in the world in order to shine a light on the things that you already know, right? To call you out, someone to be ahead of you, to be like, hey, Milton, why haven't you been eating? Why haven't you been doing that? And that's why people pay thousands and thousands of thousands of dollars for accountability. That's all it really is, to learn how to become more disciplined and learn how to stay on tact with things. Because ultimately, if you aren't doing it and someone else is holding you accountable to do it, it's going to allow you to grow and become more successful. So at the end of the day, it's just I find it so interesting though that like it don't matter how many times you preach it to somebody, as long as if you don't have nobody calling yourself out, then you're never going to understand the things that are occurring, right? And sometimes maybe it needs a conversation like this you and I have it right now for you to be like, oh shit, I haven't been eating, I haven't been healthy, I haven't been, and those are the things that drive yourself to have a better life, right? But I guess the last thing I want to touch base on is for you and your business, man. How far do you see yourself, and how quickly, or what's the timeline for you? Do you want to see yourself to own a 7-figure business?
Mm-hmm. The goal is by 35, man.
By 35?
By 35. I'm 31 years old, 32 this year in November. The goal is by 35. I want to be able to have a cash flow of a 7-figure by 35 years old, bro. But I'm open to the idea of having other avenues of income, because you just can't rely on just one source of income. You can't rely on you can have one big ass stream, but then that's where the whole financial issue, that's the whole financial literacy comes in. That's where the question of how can I make my money work comes in, right? What other avenues can I use this money that I'm making to create more money in other realms? So that way it's consistent. Because now something happens in my business, someone gets sued, someone who works for me ends up in a really crappy, whatever. So let's just say all hell breaks loose and I lose everything. Now I still have other avenues where I have my money in, whether it's real estate. One of the biggest ones for me is I work with a lot of these people is life insurance. Life insurance is a very, very big vehicle that I utilize for my money. A lot of celebrities, a lot of pro athletes are starting to realize like, yo, life insurance is how people stay rich, how the rich stay rich, and how they create generational wealth for generations and generations and generations and generations. And people think automatically when you think life insurance, you think death. Like, oh, I need to die. No, like nowadays, life insurance, you become your own bank. You can literally become your own bank. The economy doesn't fuck with your money. Meaning, if you have your money in a policy, whether the economy is going up and down, if the economy is going up, you're making money. It compounds. If the economy goes to shit, IRAs, Roth IRAs, all these 401ks, everything tanks. With life insurance, it just flatlines. It doesn't. You never lose money in life insurance. I never knew that shit. I never knew you can be your own bank. I never knew you can do rollovers for 401ks or pensions, or you have a big lump sum of money and put it into an account and it compounds and it's a safe way to keep your money. I didn't know that. Also, people take life insurance policies out for their homes, for their vehicles. Right now, let's just say you have $1 million policy. You put it like $150 a month into a policy. Once you die, whoever the beneficiary is, they get $1 million. Great. But now let's just say you have a $250,000 home, you have a $250,000 car. You're doing payments. You open up 2 insurance policies for the worth of the vehicle and the worth of the home. You're putting like, I don't know, maybe like $100, $150, $200 a month into those policies. Something happens to you, God willing, nothing happens. If something happens to you, you end up dying. Now you leave your children, your wife behind with all this debt. The life insurance policies, they pay out and pay the debt off. Now they have a car and they have a home, and now they're debt free, and now they still have a lump sum of cash that they can utilize to reinvest into their business or to whatever they want to reinvest to. But a lot of people don't understand what life insurance is. I'm not a life insurance agent. I've just been around life insurance people. I'm like, yo, that's really fucking smart. You can do so much with life insurance, and a lot of real estate agents can really benefit from actually having a life insurance license or having a network with a lot of life insurance agents. They can do so much growth, because now you're adding value to the customer, you're adding value to yourself, you're adding value to anyone that's around you, because there's so much that you can do with a license in life insurance.
Dude, I love that shit, dude. You learn something new every day, bro. I haven't tapped into that realm. I find investing overall is super, super interesting to me because for me, obviously, I look at the way I look at investing is having multiple properties in my realm, right? Obviously, there's some that's in the market 401k. There's some where I want it to be in real estate. Obviously, I haven't tapped into life insurance, but that's something that I'm going to look into because the way I look at properties for me, I look at it as like a bank. That's the way, as long as all my properties are cash flowing, and then at some point in time when I'm like, you know what, I'm done with these properties and I want to start selling them off, it's like you're going to have, hopefully, if you bought in the right area, you'll have enough equity so that way when you do sell, you'll make a net proceed. And, those are your, my kids, okay, the building that I own right now, when I have kids, because ultimately all of my goals and all my accomplishments are for my future family. Everything that I'm working towards is just, I refer my life as like a tree. Right. My grandparents came from nothing. They worked at a factory their whole life. They built my parents. My parents, thankfully so, they both made six figures. They made great lives. They had a great thing. They watered a tree. And as their tree grew, okay, I came into the picture. And when I came into the picture, my job is just to grow the tree even more. So for me, every time I envision my life is just for my future family. So when I have a building like this, it's like, okay, they want to go to college. Cool. If they don't, cool. And then they have a lump sum of money for me to figure out what do you want to do with the money and obviously guide them because I don't want to just give them the lump sum of money. But there's some guidance. If they have student loans, here's for your student loans. Here, whatever your endeavors might be, we could kind of figure out from there. But I like to utilize real estate in that light where you have multiple properties, multiple streams of income. And then hopefully at some point in time, when you do have enough equity for when you are ready to sell, that's going to be something that you could utilize in the future, right? So that's why I utilize that portion. Then obviously if the stock market crashes tomorrow, I have real estate. And if the real estate market crashes tomorrow, I have the stock market. I have everything in mutual funds. Those are so many different avenues, and life insurance being one of them, which I personally haven't done. But now for our conversation today, something we could look into. So
we'll definitely talk more about it after the podcast.
Yeah. Sounds good. But I want to start by saying thank you so much, everybody, for watching. It has been a pleasure. Definitely one of the best podcasts that we had. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you guys need anything at all, we love to help you out in any way that we can. Hope everybody got their cafecito. Thank you, Milton, for being here.
Amen.
Hope everyone had a great day.